under the hood, it is not innovative or revolutionary. You want to know what's innovative and revolutionary about it? The application. So let's talk about OpenAI and ChatGPT. And the reason why this is important for Industry 4.0, it's important all the way around the board. The underlying models that are being used, first off, the data acquisition strategies, okay, the data storage strategies, the modeling strategies, the underlying models that are being used, they're not really novel. Okay, it's the same approach it's the same approach that Tesla's using with full self-driving. And I'm gonna say something here that I think is novel. But let's start with OpenAI. You know, who is OpenAI? And so I'm just going to go ahead and read their mission statements. Okay, so OpenAI says that their mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence (AGI), by which we mean highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work, benefits all of humanity. We will attempt to directly build safe and beneficial AGI, artificial general intelligence, but we'll also consider our mission fulfilled if our work aids others to achieve this outcome. To that end, we commit to the following principles, and I'm just going to read the first. So they want broadly distributed benefits, or at least they say so. By the way, I think they're full of shit with what they wrote here, just real quick. I don't think that OpenAI actually cares about helping humanity. If they did, they wouldn't have partnered with Microsoft. So they would have partnered with someone else. Okay, not that I think Microsoft's a big bad wolf, but the point is that Microsoft is not concerned with benefiting all of humanity. I mean, just throw that out the window. Broadly distributed benefits. We commit to use any influence we obtain over AGI's deployment to ensure it is used for the benefit of all, and to avoid enabling uses of AI or AGI that harm humanity or unduly concentrate power. So number one, unduly concentrate power. What does unduly mean? Okay, it's just an abstraction. It's vague. You know, one person may say that this is unduly concentrating power, and they may say, no, in our opinion, it's not. Okay, harm humanity. Who decides what is harm of humanity? You know, who decides what is harming humanity? Okay. Our primary fiduciary duty is to humanity. We anticipate needing to marshal substantial resources to fulfill our mission, but we'll always diligently act to minimize conflicts of interest among our employees and stakeholders that could compromise broad benefits. So that's OpenAI. Okay. That's OpenAI. What is ChatGPT? Okay. So ChatGPT is a chatbot that was launched by the OpenAI company, okay, in November of 2022. It's built on top of OpenAI's GPT-3 family of large language models, and it is fine-tuned and approached to transfer learning with both supervised and reinforcement learning techniques. So basically, humans supervising the learning and then the model learning from reinforcement. That is, human interaction is reinforcing the learning model. Okay. So during the conversation, things that we say to ChatGPT can reinforce the learning of the model. ChatGPT was launched as a prototype in November of 2022 and quickly garnered attention for its detailed responses, articulate answers across many domains of knowledge. Its uneven factual accuracy was identified as a significant drawback. Following the release of ChatGPT, OpenAI has been valued at $29 billion. I want to start with this real quick. There are the fundamental complaints about ChatGPT. Okay, number one, it has accuracy issues. That is, it'll give responses. If I give it a prompt or ask it a question, it will give responses that sound factually accurate, sound convincing, but they're just flat out fucking wrong. Okay, so that's one of the problems, and I think that's in about 12% of the responses. I think 88% of the responses are considered accurate, and 12% of the responses are flawed. Okay. Number two, OpenAI uses their API to filter out anything that OpenAI considers offensive. So it can't give sexist or racist responses. It can't, and they stay away from political opinions. Okay. Now, I can't tell you how fucking dangerous that is to put that type of power in anyone's hand. Okay. The freedom of speech is foundational for democracy and free societies. It is. And you can't have companies filtering speech, period. You just can't. You can't have companies filtering speech. That is incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. So those are the downsides. The upsides, ChatGPT is fucking awesome. It's incredible. It's incredible technology. And let me say this before I ask you, Zach, how you've been using it, in your opinion here. Okay. This morning I was doing a consulting call with a large multinational manufacturer. And I generally ask people the question like, why is Tesla awesome? But I asked them, in this case, I asked them about ChatGPT. I said, why is ChatGPT awesome? And they said, well, because you can, you get to take a shortcut. You can give it a prompt and it'll write the framework of something that you want to write about. And then you can use that framework, modify it, add some novel ideas, and you got your own thing. That's how most people are using it. Okay. Do you want to know what the biggest value in ChatGPT is? It's a repository for all the questions that people are asking. It is not the answers. It's not the model. Even Jan LeCun said in an article on ZDNet, Jan LeCun is a super famous deep learning expert. I think he was at Google. He helped develop some of Google's initial technology. Even Jan said GPT is not particularly innovative and it's not revolutionary. Okay, he's at Meta now. He's at Facebook. He's right. Under the hood, it is not innovative or revolutionary. You want to know what's innovative and revolutionary about it? The application. The application is what's innovative and revolutionary. Under the hood, the way that ChatGPT is constructed is the same way that all AI and ML is constructed across all of industry. So Zach, how are you using ChatGPT right now?
Yeah, I think some of the ways are pretty obvious and some of the ways may surprise people. Wanted to make a quick note though that GPT-3 is the engine that OpenAI it originally was it still is licensing that engine as services to other applications such as Jasper AI. They have a copywriting tool, Copy.ai. They use the same underlying engine GPT-3 for their applications, and it's just the implementation is a little bit different, the user interface, but the engine's the same. So ChatGPT, once it launched in November of 2022, like it gained 1 million users in 5 days, which is faster than like Instagram, faster than Snapchat, any other social platform because of how amazing it is. The way I've been using it is mainly to create. I mean, you said the value of ChatGPT or is like the questions I'm asking it. If you could look back at all of my queries, it's like you get to see what I'm thinking about as I'm building my company.
Yep.
60 to 80% of it is focused around marketing. Hey, help me create this email for my clients. Hey, I'm thinking about creating a text blast for my clients. I want to offer $200 off. Can you help me create the text? Like being who I am, I've always been one who struggles to convey my ideas into written word or spoken word. Like I'm give me a math and equation problem or program. I'm all about that, but I've always struggled getting my ideas into the linguistic form. So I can just say, hey, I'm trying to create a social media post about the struggles of having autism, and but I want to like share that in a way that's inspiring. Can you help me create a LinkedIn post about my story? And it creates this freaking amazing post. And yeah, you modify some of the details, and
why
it's
is
amazing.
Google freaking out? I'm going to ask you this question and then I'll answer it.
I think it's yeah. I want to finish some of the other ways. I mean, we're just scratching the surface on the ways I'm using it, but it's just a fundamentally different thing. I'm not using it to query for information. I'm giving it information and asking the engine to do processing, give me an output. So like, I think that's where people are like, oh, well, I could just ask Google for this. It's like, no, here's one way I'm using it. Hey, let's pretend I take this entire transcript of our podcast and I give the words to ChatGPT in a quote. I say, hey, here's this transcript of a podcast Walker and I just did. Can you create a LinkedIn post that talks about what we talked about and makes someone want to click on it? Reads all of the transcript, comes up with the summary. I mean, the thing's fucking brilliant. This is like it makes me want to start a copywriting agency just so I can leverage this arbitrage that's available in the market right now with to be able to create a massive amount of copy with like it's 10x my content output. I've had it write strategy. Hey, I'm wanting to coach a client. Can you help me come up with like a 6-week framework that I can kind of work with a client one-on-one to help coach them? Boom, boom, boom. Here's what what the strategy is. I need to write my articles of incorporation for my company. Can you help draft this articles of incorporation? Gives me a framework. Hey, can you modify it? Here's some of the information. Can you put it back into the document? Gives me the full document.
So
Hey, I need to write a letter to my investors. They're worried about A, B, and C. Can you help me reassure them that everything's going good? Writes
so
the letter to my
guess
investors.
who's so the question is how do we benefit? Like, how does this impact the economy? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first place is education. Okay. First and foremost, most teachers from the age from say third grade through like ninth grade are obsolete. Okay. Whether or not we allow ChatGPT to take their place, they're obsolete. But fundamentally, ChatGPT can completely revolutionize quote unquote public education. One of the things that I already talk about right now is I have one kid left in high school, and he's a sophomore in high school, and he goes to both a high school and a college at the same time. He goes to a high school on a college campus. And one of the things that we talk about, and he's my most intelligent son. All my kids are smart, but he's the uber smart kid. I asked him, Hayden, when was the last time you learned something in school? And he said, oh, kindergarten. Like, learns nothing novel at all in school. And I asked him why. Why is that? And he said, because I learn faster than the pace that the school teaches at. The difference is I can get my own answers now. So, to the point, in one of Hayden's classes, one of his instructors said to the class, this is a funny story, we're going to do a 10-question quiz. You can either have Hayden take this test for you, and if he gets a 100, the whole class gets a 100. If he misses one question, everyone gets a 0. Or you can take the quiz yourself. And everyone in his class said, we're going to have Hayden take it. And he got the 100. Okay. So that's where Hayden's at, right? Public education takes 9 months to teach what you can learn in just a few weeks. Okay. ChatGPT can greatly accelerate learning for all people. Okay. So obviously, education's a big place. Another big place is going to be like paralegals and the legal profession. You guys may or may not know this, but when you go hire an attorney and you spend thousands of dollars on your attorney drafting a big, long contract, he already has that contract. That's just another copy of the contract with some language changed inside of it. But they're selling it at full price over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's how like Rocket Lawyer and all that stuff works. ChatGPT, just go in there and do the articles of incorporation thing. Here's the other thing. Write me a non-disclosure agreement between these two companies, okay? And protect these 3 pieces. And it literally will just spit out the non-disclosure agreement. So there's a lot of places where I see ChatGPT essentially automating out that business process, okay? But let me ask you this, Zach. What do you see as ChatGPT's biggest limitations? The things that people need to look out for?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest limitation is really just going to be of people's mindset of how they can actually use it. Like someone posted the other day, like, oh, like everyone's talking about ChatGPT, but there's no way ChatGPT would have helped me like tune this PID loop or solve this. And I'm like,
small potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, imagine you could just give it every transcript of every meeting that you've ever had with your company, every note that's attached to every trend, the data itself. This engine should be able to like, hey, how can I improve my factory? Like literally what you've been talking about for years is now fucking possible with this technology platform. And you've been saying it for years. It's like, how can I improve my factory? Hey, I've got these 3 things. I've got a couple orders coming in. I don't know what the hell to do. What should I do here? How should I schedule this? It'll give like really legit, and especially with all the content, like, you're probably not going to use ChatGPT and just like load everything in a text prompt. Like, you're going to have it built into your unified namespace, and you're going to have fields that are automatically suggesting prompts. But yeah, I mean, semantic modeling of raw data. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
Richard. To answer your question, I purchased access to like Jasper. So when ChatGPT is not available, I go straight to Jasper or Copy.ai. Like, it's a tool that's so valuable. It's like, I think, and also ChatGPT is going to allow you to pay like $42 a month to get a professional plan. It's worth every penny. I guess I didn't answer your question. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't have a downside. The downside is people's limitation of how they can use it. Obviously, there's a few drawbacks, but
Here's the drawback: critical thinking. So the reason I'm not using ChatGPT, the only reason I'm not using it, is I question two things. Number one, I question its market valuation and viability in terms of commercialization. I question that because there's some real issues, and actually someone brought the question up in my call this morning, which was, isn't OpenAI essentially using other people's copyrighted information to create something else, and therefore aren't they going to, in the end of the day, aren't they going to owe license fees to the people whose work they use to create the value? And the answer is yes. I mean, if their OpenAI is going to have to track which parts of the text that they scrub from the internet, the stuff that they've scrubbed from and the stuff that the data that they're using to train the model, what percentage of that led to the answer, and they're going to have to pay licensing on that. Unless you fundamentally change copyright law.
my response is to that, isn't that how people, that's the same way people learn too, though. You learn from licensed textbooks, and you're using that in your brain to assimilate new information. But
The difference is you're buying the textbook. So you're paying for the copyright, right? So
it could write code. Like, we didn't even talk about, it could write code for you. It's like,
I want to use this example. So go to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, I want you to write me a script in Python using the OpenCV library, okay? Using the OpenCV package to parse a video file called whatever, enter in video file name, into 60 separate images. Just say that. It'll literally spit out like a 20-line script in Python using OpenCV that'll take the video file, and it'll literally, if say it's at 30 frames a second, it'll take two seconds of the video, and it'll literally slice it into 60 images that it stores on the local. I mean, it literally will write the whole script for you. So now you got to modify it. It's not perfectly accurate, but it's your starting point. ChatGPT is incredibly powerful. The two things that I think stand out the most for me, right? Number one is overnight, starting in November, everyone realized, wow, AI is legit. It's legit. Like, no, you are not surprised at what OpenAI has created, right?
I'm just happy that it's there, that I can start using it.
I'm not surprised. Anybody who works in this space, Jan LeCun, he's not surprised. People who work in this space are not surprised by the capability. I want to read Doug Albright's comment, though, about ChatGPT. It's a long one, but I want to read it, and then I get your take on it, Zach. I'm not surprised by it. But I do want to, the thing that I think is amazing is that it is essentially a lighthouse for all of humanity's questions. And literally, OpenAI has a window into all the questions that are being asked. And the reason this is way more powerful than Google had this. The difference is that in Google, you're putting 3 or 4 words in the search bar. In ChatGPT, you're putting instructions. And that is a fundamental difference. This is why Google's freaking out. Because OpenAI and the folks at ChatGPT, the folks at OpenAI have a window into all the questions that are being asked, which means they have an insight into markets no one's aware of. And that's incredibly valuable. That's
the questions that a lawyer is asking, the questions that a consultant in manufacturing is asking. What I was going to say, It's almost like a new paradigm shift. Like we had the information era. This is a new level of iteration on top of that. People are calling like the knowledge era. Everyone had previously access to all the human knowledge and information. Now it's like we've democratized not only the information but the knowledge that comes. Everyone's an instant expert. You just say, here's a ChatGPT tip. You just say, act as a marketing expert and write this post, or act as a legal professional and write this document. So you're giving it the instructions of kind of the content. I mean, it has all of the internet's knowledge is what it's really trained on. So you're kind of telling it what domain area of
The, the
expertise you're.
real the real value is in these AI models that are detecting whether or not you used AI to write that thing. And
It's funny.
overnight, I can tell who's doing it. Like it just happened. You
I
can
fooled my mom though.
What's that?
So I've been using it to write my own social posts, and I think there's this perception, particularly among content creators. I think it comes from ego. Like they feel like, oh, like if I didn't write this, or like there's somehow some uniqueness to me writing it versus like mostly having AI write it. I'll tell you this: like my mom thought, I'm like, oh my own son is a gifted writer. It's like, no, mom, I'm just using ChatGPT. Like, like in my audience, I'm able to communicate more effectively to them and my message. So who the hell cares that I used I use it in my relationships, like my relationships with like people, my friends, my intimate relationships. I literally use it almost as like a little mini therapist, and it gives
Yeah.
me like legit help.
Here's the issue. Why does the audience listen to you? Because you have something novel that they can glean from you, some novel knowledge they can glean from you. Elon Musk is right when he says the only real implications of OpenAI is that we're going to use AI to talk to other AI. And people will have no reason to follow you on Twitter. Not for information. They're going to follow you on Twitter for entertainment, right? And I want to leave it with this piece before I read Doug's comment, because I think it's really, really important here. This is the first step to UBI in the West. We are accelerating. We are accelerating to the finish line, which is, most people. We're gonna very soon. We are gonna reach a point where half the people in our society are unemployable. Okay, and they will have to be supported by the economy. The economy, you will literally have to redistribute money to half the people in our society. Half the people will not be able to get a job. And if your IQ is going to be, in the low 90s or below, you'll be unemployable. Half the people in the society will be doing the work. The other half, what are the people on UBI? Everybody's going to be on UBI. What will other people be doing? Entertainment, arts and entertainment. The people who are unemployable will be entertaining. They'll be doing art. They're going to fill in using the humanities, right? And which is one of the advantages of ChatGPT is I think it levels the playing field in the West when it comes to STEM. Because now the quality of the STEM education that you can get in the West is not dependent upon the teachers who teach it to you.